You grew up in the city, completely different, contrasting experience as compared to somebody who grew up in the country. And that is the reason I'm so excited about this conversation. Because I want to find out how is it different when you were growing up? How was it different based on your own perception growing up in the city as compared with the stories that you've heard of people growing up in the country?
Well, me, for example, I know see that I was very privileged
Ah,
because I had a mother who was very cultural. She grew up in St. Mary, St. Catherine, St. Mary, but her parents were very cultural too.
and what did the culture people eat? What
Um,
about stuff?
No, I tell you, my ancestor was very cultural. She grew up with classical music.
Fancy.
Church and her her father played the organ at church, and among other things, although he's a farmer. And my grandma, she sang. So my mother sang. My mother played the organ, my mother played the piano, my mother played the saxophone.
What a well.
Exactly.
What a well.
So you grow up with that as being natural. Later on, I heard she used to play and functions at Bournemouth Gardens and so on. And she taught classical music, had a grand piano and all those things. That was natural to her.
Very demure.
Be honest.
So how it translate now because we need to hear it now.
I grew up now on every choir. Every quiet you could think of. I never started making my own. We go because I'm back from my mother. Father back from my mother. And it was normal and natural at 10, 11, 12 that I'm going to this choir practice, that choir practice, that with my mom. And at my church, which was Christ Church, in that town, at age 11, 12, I'm singing solos. And it was normal. I went to it was without question that I went formally to study music.
Because of that issue.
Yes, because I was here. And anyway, so I just say that to say, in all the Bulgaria something number one, right there, we were exposed
To the fine genres.
Very funny because my father was a man who on Sundays, you dress for dinner.
Look at you.
Yes. And you had to learn how to set table properly. Yes. Right
I
there.
had to go to that so
Right here in Rwanda, you knew you had to learn the different plates. Like whatever glass it. I taught my brothers. So they all had to do it.
What do you say I love it alone?
We took turns. This Sunday is your Sunday to set. So whatever happens from Monday to Saturday and Sunday, you had perfect gentle.
Oh my goodness.
That's how we go. I mean, after it God.
We get started to take your one choice in there.
But that's how we go. And that's the truth. So we don't have to find things in like this because we don't want to. Because one thing, we were exposed to them and my mother. For example, you know them times there, the one thing is tough. And on Fridays, Ben Johnson don't.
And St. Elizabeth on Thursday. On Friday, I phone the Ben Johnson.
Friday. Everything run up by then.
Yes, okay.
So, it's one pot. You know, one pot cook and
So that's rice.
That's rice with them, anything that they could find it. Yeah?
That's a huge.
No, so we never know saying not a good thing because the way it is
Fancy. What you saying?
No.
How it would go then?
No, man. And the help we have enough to serve it properly. It have to this. You never know. So when it's long after you realize it. is one part is it throw together. I love it. No, it's true. And it just shows you that you can really change your children's lives.
Yes, in no matter
In how you present things and present and think the things to them.
yes, yes,
Good.
especially because children are pliable there.
Yes, you're born in there.
Impressionable are the impression where you give them. So once they get the impression that this thing is important,
Yeah.
then will just fall in and work with the program.
Somebody look forward to it. You know, dig up and touch. And you have to do this and you have to do that. Trust me. You understand?
Principle.
Yeah, this is just how it's done. And I sat there, my father out there, everybody up there, cricket running back. It's just so.
I'm a good double back now to the music.
That's my life. Actually. My mother made sure, and my father too, but mama make sure that I was well rounded. In other words, one was not at the expense of the other. My academics had to be there.
Balance.
So balance is the thing. And because from I was went to Camperdown, you used to enter, I stayed for the all those
I
things.
know that word.
Yes. And it continued until I actually one of the most, how could I say, auspicious occasion for me, or my memory bank automatically goes back to this event when I ran this, and that is representing Jamaica in South Africa.
Oh,
and I stayed for it.
yes.
And this was
Really
done.
rich.
This was, let me tell you, this experience was fostered by um, Miss Olive Way, who I knew so well. I also was very, very familiar with Joyce Saylor, who was a renowned soprano of Jamaica. And at the same time, she was also the director of the NBTC Singers.
Oh, yeah.
She was also kind of a model too, because we sang in different bells. So the point is now, Miss Lewin, I think maybe I just started to work. Yes, because I was driving military Andrea, BD 92.
Oh.
And I said, Miss Lewin, as it heard you make a jolly full singer. I couldn't have her know. She said, I just lay down. She said, lay down, try to lay down. So I'm going to come to, hey, did you see? In steps.
Were they competitive entities?
I don't know if it was, they were different. We were representing folk in Jamaica, but it was not a competition. It was just different aspects of the thing because NDTC Singers was a part of the National Dance Theatre Company.
Gotcha.
And my darling Professor, the Honorable Representative. That is the other love of my life. And he knew it. So, when we heard that there was a possibility of my going to the folk singers, he simply said, come, Joyce, and he then went to my mother. End of story. I don't bring it. And
So you've been murdered.
oh no, he says, no, she's coming. She's coming. End of story 1960. Little bit. Not, I was not founding member in 62, but like 66 or 65 or something like. But come back to Miss Lou, she decided I must be the folk singers were going to represent Jamaica in South Africa. But she decided in my own right, I must go and compete at the ice check for it. Like a so nice. Now here it is because Jamaican girl I go to South Africa where all of the classical people that were from Europe and everything going. It was a marvelous. And that time, I can tell you, it was when Mandela had just come out of prison. Oh. Same year. They had a lot of tea. I had Maurice Gordon, who was with the folk singers, but he was also my choir master at Christ Church. And when the person who was to go to Winston, you want. But we had to your own way, saying that easy. Understand. Luckily, I was working at Bank of Jamaica and I could get a loan. Oh. So, so I get a personal loan and all that. But it was not, that was paid. My trip was paid for by the government or anything. No. You come all this up. Yeah, man, that is not I got back from it because I experienced that. Yes. I mean, I say this to say, Maurice put me in touch with Ed Cumberbatch's accompanist in Trinidad. He was representing Trinidad. And telephone is a great thing. I used to rehearse on the telephone with her. When I didn't know who went to accompany me. He would play for some, but because his first thing this way as the accompanist for the folk singers, so it will be reasonable to have, be dependent. Anyway, it was going on very nice and I'm going. Or something of my way. Well, when you went to England, you go to England and you take something from it, you go down to Rudeport and Johannesburg and things. So this will live in my mind all the time. Imagine a sugar girl from Jamaica coming down the steps of the plane, and you hear somebody. Somebody come and talk to you from the organizers of the step. And I think it was the first time Black people were allowed to host any of their persons who are coming there. Oh, wow. So you have the welcoming party and thing. And I hear, oh, people come, see that lady? The lady that sang at Martha Manley's funeral. Somebody turned on and looked and saw. I said, you lady, you sang with the Manley's funeral. I said, oh my God, we can't first trouble like that. Of course. It was me, but I was in shock. Everybody was very good. Recognize you, queer over. Right, I'm worrying. Spirit calm down. I said, come people, and they're running around there. It was out. No, you hold up. But not only that. What I did as I came off the plane, I do not know what compelled this action. I just fell to my knees and kissed the ground. Oh my God. Oh, Mother Africa. I don't know, but I'm telling you, it's the most dramatic thing in my life. I always remember it. I and how old were you then? I remember. But it was the night. But me did you did you? Me put on a mini and me kiss the Mother Earth. And come and they all surrounded me. The lady who sang Manley's funeral. So, and I sound like it is. It's like I sound like. I sound like Bussamat. Everybody. When I reached to the place, they said, oh, you've been selected to do the free concert. Mr. Mark. Yeah, I'm going to everybody now. We have practice up in peace, them for good do it. So how good thing you are prepared. And some of them Maurice man were something or something else. But by then my accompanist Winston man, he found his money and came. You see, wait, easy. But he and I were placed with for the first time in the history of the thing. Were placed with with some black. Some black. He was what's the name? No, pressure me. He was the CEO of a television station, and she was the headmistress of a school. Gotcha. And they were so excited because they had everybody they used to they, about money and everybody. And then the children, what got to me, the children in South Africa at that time anyway, were taught Michael Manley's speeches with the change when nearly dead. You went,
teach out here.
you want to hear reciting them. When I come back, I call, I don't remember who was the head of thing there. I said, do you have copies of Michael Manley's speeches? I said, I was embarrassed in South Africa. So, I don't think I got them, you know. But I got to, but go back to South Africa. Great experience. And that was a highlight of, it's one of the occasions that I consider so wonderful.
And still very early in here.
Yes. I noticed that there was a lot of activity going on after a song. I looked at how well I was singing for the music. Now, I nearly bringing greater fight because the men's competition was first. The female competition second, right? I think the group one was somewhere in between. I think folk singers won. And counted women now. And then they fight because one couple there said, some of them said, it is not possible to give the Caribbean the two main things first in men and first in women, and not going to happen. So
I tell you something that I tell you first in women.
So hold on. Then they have a kind of first in women, I got 2 second place. I got 2 second place. And some of the judges came to me at the Jamaican go through and apologize. And I said, no, I think this is fantastic. I don't think this has ever been done before.
That's
And
right.
I hope it never happens.
Happens again.
To anybody, but that was the last I stayed for. And I went to my dad's house. Come on.
Fancy.
It was lovely. I tell you, that visit and that, it was just fantastic.
Stage set. Stage, because if you have this experience very early in your career,
Yes.
then that means like
I always wanted to be the best that I could be.
yes.
And that's what was taught to me by my mother and my father.
Yes.
You must always be the best that you can be. That doesn't mean you will achieve it all the time, but you try.
You try. You try.
You understand?
Effort counts.
Right. And I never feel that I cannot do anything.
Talk to us a little bit about the other things that you did in Jamaica because you sang at the different funerals. What are the special occasions
No.
that you graced them with your voice?
I love it. I love it. Everything. My biggest joy is who would actually know? My dedication to my church work, my church services, my church.
Still the same church and you grew up?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Christ Church in Nepal.
Beautiful.
Giving back was natural because you just did that. As a matter of fact, I grew up in a situation where after service every Sunday morning at that time, the choir, because we were well rounded, we were well thought of, island-wide. We jumped into the car and just go and do a concert right around the island. So that's what we did. So all the churches that you never know, we went and ministered in song. So that too, as a child, it was wonderful.
No, I know you said that you didn't sing with the Carol folk singers.
With the folk singers.
Folk singers as a group. But you must have performed with them at some point in time. You must have shared stage.
Yeah, we shared stage. We have shared stage. Yes. You see, when I joined the MATC, you know what made the folk songs so real to us? before we did a song, or before we did a, a work, like coming out and propagating and so. Professor Honor Rex Network. He arranged and took us to where the culture originated.
Tio, Jesus.
So coming up, we went into the hills.
You plunge. Portland?
Up Borkland, St. Thomas and Portland and gone up in the hill beside.
Immersive.
And we had to get special approval from the people there. But we had our community drummers at that time were originals. It was those people who learned drumming. They came from my area. And you might tell me something like, but me, Carole Reid, I took her out at once, she will confirm it. Tiffany. We're able to take maybe one or two persons with us on the bus. And I remember this night when we went out to the communal session at St. Thomas there in the hills. And I'm telling you now, I'm a Christian. And I saw the lady levitate. I have never seen anything like that. And the drumming just got more frenzied and everything.
That's some deep spiritual.
No, you can't understand. We got to, we gone again. We got to, Australia with a company. And was it in Sydney or Canberra? Actually, we performed in Sydney, Canberra, and Melbourne. We did in Melbourne. And the original coming drum was went with us too. And I remember we were in big coming up on stage. And we don't know what we have with World Theatre, And I don't see them doing anything to restore it. That theatre is almost a replica of the theatres of what was one in
Just one.
Cuba,
Listen.
one in Sydney, and one in Melbourne. But I was looking up in the gallery. I remember standing on the left side of the stage where we stand with the coming up. And I am there and I saw a man in a top hat walking in and a lady were in a white gown. When they were beating the coming drums, and I saw him stand up there, just like that. And my dear gentlemen, I was mesmerized. I think the coming drum was slow. But after we did the rehearsal or performance or whatever I was doing, I went downstairs because I was telling something. I saw the people see them. I think the drummer saw them. When I went downstairs, he said, you saw, let's say, is an opera singer, tenor opera singer who dropped through the flooring on stage how many years before? Ooh! And people have been known to sing. Oh my God. I'm telling you, I saw this. Is not anybody telling me about it.
Mercy.
I never shot that on my body. And if anybody did tell me and I tell them it's a lie, I'm not telling you. But I can only tell you what I see. Nobody never tell me. And I don't remember Sydney or Canberra.
So the drumming summer
Invoke
the spirit.
they said people have been known to see them from time to time. That's what the lady downstairs told me.
So you live from Queer at Jamaica. Go Queer to Australia. Go see Australia. No?
What happened? Oh, if you didn't tell me that, you're not tell you a lie.
Yes.
That was true. I'm a sensible person.
Jesus.
But
So then stand up and listen.
Right on the floor, I could see them now. The top hat. Yeah, got in it. Awesome.
I want to hear a piece of them down while you know South Africa.
That's the first line.
You know, the winning piece. The one you get in 2 second place. Where is your music available? Which one you can find your music?
I can give you one of my CDs.
Please
But
and thanks.
you're comfortable on that.
Please and thanks. And I'm gonna use.
Sì, sì, ci voglio andare, e se la ma se